Hello Year 10. Recently we've been taking a look at the East India Company, India, and the origins of the British Raj, or the British Empire, in India. What I want to do in the next few minutes is take a look at how we might put some of that knowledge together in an exam type answer. I've got here in front of me a copy of the GCSE paper that would be set for this type of exam. This is a specimen one that's easily obtainable off the internet. A quick search on Google will take you to AQA's own page where this is easily downloadable. And looking through this, we can see all four of the questions that we could face in just this type of exam. Now, the one that I want to look at in particular is question number 2. Turn to the page here. It's a little bit windy here. Try and get through that. There we go. I've got question number 2 there. Question number 2 for this one is actually quite similar to the type of question that we want to look at today, but it's not quite the period that we're ready to look at. This one says, explain the significance of the Indian Rebellion on the development of the British Empire. Now, as we will see, the Indian Rebellion is actually 1857. We're not quite there yet. The last thing that we looked at was the Battle of Plassey of 1757. So I'm going to change the focus of the question slightly, whilst keeping this to be the main type of question that you could face in the exam. So for this one, I'm going to reword it like this. So I've changed, tweaked the question ever so slightly there to explain the significance of the East India Company in the formation of the British Empire in India. Again, this would still be worth 8 marks. I'm going to cross out question at the top. We don't quite need that one now. So for this particular question, it is useful, I think, to consider what does the mark scheme say? What does the mark scheme tell me the examiner would be looking for this particular type of answer? Now, the really good thing about this is that you're already familiar with how this mark scheme actually works. Nearly all of these answers, if they're worth any more than 4 marks, they're always marked out of 4 different levels. I'm going to put the levels in and what we're looking for in particular. So here, I've identified that there are 4 levels. The marks for each level is a maximum of 2 marks. Let's make that a little bit clearer. 2 marks for a level 1, a maximum of 4 marks if you score in a level 2 bracket, 6 marks in level 3, 8 marks in level 4. But there's one specific thing in this that I really want us to take notice of, and that's this. In level 2, all you would be doing would be explaining one aspect of significance. If you start to explain more than one aspect of significance, you move it up into, there we go, level 3 overall. and we'll talk about what a complex explanation might look like in a moment. So first of all, for this, I think it's important, as with most of these 8-mark questions, we keep that idea of paragraphs. First of all, our first paragraph, I would say we want to focus on perhaps the short term significance. What happened at the very start, perhaps? So for the East India Company, we might talk about how the East India Company was significant in the short term because it went to India not to necessarily create an empire, but rather to exploit the resources that it could trade with India. And these obviously related to things such as the cottons, the calicos, the dyes, the indigos, all those kind of things. So we start with a sentence then, perhaps to point us in that right direction. So it led the way in setting out to India to try and trade there overall. In terms of the resources, we might talk about, in terms of the evidence, we could talk about how the company was set up in 1600. So the short-term significance is that it is the economic aspect. Now, this is, I didn't put paragraph 1 in before, paragraph 1. Now, from here, we're starting to do what we need to do to get an explanation in that would comfortably put us into a level 2 bracket. But from here, we really now need to start thinking about how we can move this up, into a level 3 overall. So for level 3, we certainly need a second paragraph. And here we now need to start thinking about a second aspect. And for the East India Company, we may start thinking about how it moved from just trying to trade with India to having military control over different parts of India. Now, to this end, in explaining how it used its own private army, we perhaps want to evidence this with some of the good knowledge that we've got. Now I think here this would be, give us that opportunity to perhaps talk about, first of all, sepoys. We might also talk about, number 2, 1757. And Clive's defeat of Siraj ud-Dowlah in 1757. Now at this point, this answer is really starting to look quite high value overall, because we've got, for level 3, we said we needed a developed explanation of 2 different aspects, at least 2 aspects. We've talked about the economic expansion, we've talked about the use of its military as well to expand. Both of these allow it to increase its control over India overall. That helps to lay the foundations for the British Empire. The one other thing that we might want to do, though, is think about what could make this complex. If we want to push this into level 4, and this idea of complex thinking, then we need to think about what that might look like overall. And perhaps showing the link between economic control and military control. What this might do is allow you to show that by having the military in place to have complete control over the people of India, that would then allow Britain to extend its economic control and to increase the amount of money that it was able to extract from India over time, therefore making it the jewel of the empire. It might be worth you now using this as a framework. It's not a finished answer, but as a framework for writing your own answer to this question. Until next time, take care.